So let's talk about what do you need to do to become a rockstar entrepreneur. Now, I'm talking today about 7 things. These are things that I've seen in the last 10 years I've been doing innovation across a few companies and my colleagues, and also based on some research of what I believe are the 7 things you need. The first one is, anybody knows who these guys are? Yeah, A-Team. I used to love that. That used to be my favorite TV show when I was a kid. It was always on Saturday night. I really kind of waited for it. I always wanted to be Mr. T. Never worked out. But I love the A-Team. Now, the A-Team is a group of bandits. Each of them has a very strong personality. If it's Face, Hannibal, Mr. T, they're all very, very different. But they have a few things in common. One is they're very strong personalities. They're very different. And interestingly enough, they're each an expert in their field, but they have always a broad perspective and kind of expertise. They're able to bring a few domains. And that's what I try to do in our teams when we do innovation. I always have a strong preference to hire in our teams what is called a T-shaped. So basically in kind of HR language, there's T-shaped and I-shaped. I-shaped people are basically people that are skill experts in one thing. This is the top-notch scientist. He is a world-renowned that field, and that's what he knows to do. Don't talk with him about anything else. T-shaped, yes, they come from one discipline. They studied something, but actually they have a very broad spectrum of expertise, and they're quite good. They're not an expert in one thing, but actually they can synthesize quite a lot of things together. Those are the kind of people that I want on my team. Actually, IDEO, the same. A lot of the design thinking firms that like to hire the same kind of people. The second thing is, always on my team, I prefer to either, if it's people that work for me or it's the cross-functional team members, I always choose the most junior, least experienced people that don't have anything to lose and don't have any fear. And I've created over the years a bunch of people I work with that evolved. They evolved with me, and we just go from one project to another. We get promoted. We go on working together. We always want to work together, and we've done it, and we've done it several times in the past. And actually, the fact that they're a junior is important for me. It's easier to shape them. It's easier, and they don't have the fear factor that a lot of the guys that have been forever in the company have. Because at the end of the day, remember, you're working in a big company. You need not to upset too many people. You're even hoping one day to get promoted. It's not so good to do too many crazy things. And a lot of people have a fear factor about that. The last thing is, even if you have an A-team, even if you're going to do crazy things, and I'm going to talk about it in a second, maybe even getting fired, you do need to have a corporate sponsor. Could be official, not official. You need one guy or lady that loves what you guys are doing, and they're going to support you when you really screw up or when you do something really crazy. The next thing is be childlike, curious, and asking why the whole time. So these are my kids. I have 3 kids. Louisa, she has the blonde little girl. She's 2 years old. That's my son, Noah. He is not going to be happy. I showed a presentation with him in underwear in front of 100 people. So let's keep this between us. This is his, I think it's his fireman underwear. So we'll keep that as a secret. And that's my 7-year-old daughter, Ella. Now, why am I talking about my 3 kids? I learned a lot from them constantly. Why? They ask me the whole time why on everything. They ask me, Daddy, why is the sky blue? I have no idea. But I go on and try to research and find. My son Noah loves to do Lego, and the whole time he's asking, why do I need to follow the instructions? Which actually is a good question. Now, the most interesting thing just happened a week ago. So we moved to Tel Aviv a year ago. I'm originally from there, not lived there for 12 years. And we had guests coming from Germany. We took them to the museum, and there was this poster here from Israel. It's an old poster. And we're all debating a strange poster showing the beach line of Tel Aviv with a religious man, and he's with what is called a shofar in his clothes. We're talking about all these strange things. I've seen this picture many times. My son is looking. He's silent. After 10 minutes we're talking, he tells, Daddy, why does he wear these old, ugly sandals? Now, you guys can hardly see them. Now, I have never even looked at the bottom of the picture. I never even cared or noticed what the guy is wearing or not. I never thought about it. But that's where my son was looking. Now, I'm saying this. Now, it's not important really what he's wearing. But the fact is that my son was looking at this picture completely different than all of us. We were focused on the whole top end and this old guy and the beach line. Nobody even cared what if he has shoes, not shoes. And kids look at the world in a different way. That's the same way you need to do this in innovation, and you need constantly to question things, especially in a big company. You come, and the whole day they tell you, that's the way we do things. That's, I came to chocolate. They told me consumers only want chocolate for fun. Anecdote, topic done. No more conversation. I want to see the data. I want to understand. Maybe the consumers want chocolate also for other reasons. So you need to question everything you do if you're an entrepreneur, especially in a big company. The next one, and this was talked a lot about, is experiment and prototype. And I like the kind of following this cycle. It's slightly different than, it's based on the lean startup, but it's build, learn, pivot in parentheses, because hopefully you don't need to pivot, and scale. It's very similar to the lean startup. I mean, a lot of you are familiar with the lean startup. I think it's a fantastic book, a fantastic philosophy. By the way, Eric Ries has just launched a new book, I didn't get it yet, 2 weeks ago, taking the fundamentals of lean startups into corporates. So that's immediately into the camp of entrepreneurship. I didn't read it yet, but that's one of the first books I want to get. And prototyping is important, even in our food industry. When I came to the company, we used to have these meetings, and we would have agencies or internal people coming with these concepts and these PowerPoints. And I'm like, guys, can I please see the thing? Can I please taste it? Doesn't matter if it's not ready. This is food. How complicated is it to like mock up a quick chocolate? You know, we have huge labs. We have 200 people working in R&D. Can't we just put something on the table we can comment on? Now, actually, interestingly enough, people eat food in their eyes, okay? Actually, one of the most common thing, if you look on social media, everybody shows you what they're eating. I go to Facebook, I need to see what all my friends had for dinner. Why do I care what they had for dinner? People love actually taking picture of their food. Actually, a very popular hashtag is called food porn. Guys, don't get overexcited. We're not talking about food, about porn, we're talking about food porn. Food porn is a very popular hashtag. I think till today there were like 300 million times it was used, which is basically taking photography of what you eat. Consumers love doing it. So if we're in the business of creating innovation for food or whatever industry you are, prototype the damn thing. Bring it to the table, taste it, eat it, look at it. Now, I know certain industries are difficult. I spoke with a gentleman that works in the pharma industry. Yeah, that's harder. I agree. So we need to think about creative ways, but there has to be a way to move away from a PowerPoint slide to actually prototype things. Now, the other thing is experimentation has been known that you need, the more you're experimenting, the higher chance you're going to succeed. I mean, we all know the story. The story is by Dyson that he did thousands of times until he got the right vacuum cleaner, or Edison until he got the right bulbs. It takes time. You need to prototype. You're not going to launch the best new thing on earth through a PowerPoint. You're not. This is my favorite. I know this is Tom's favorite. We all have in our team this T-shirt. It's called Fire Me Please. It's a true story. If you work in innovation or as an entrepreneur in a company and you're not on the edge of getting fired once or twice per year, you are failing in your job. You are a failure. You are a failure. I really mean it. Innovation and entrepreneurship in a big company is not for the light-hearted people and not for people that are looking for a long-term career and retire in the company they joined. It's not. Go and work somewhere else, work in accounting, finance, procurement, much better places. Innovation in a big company, your role, you are paid to push the boundaries of the company. You're not stupid. You're not going to do crazy things for the purpose of doing crazy things. But if you are pushing the company and pushing the boundaries, you are at risk and getting fired. And actually, our team, I always tell it to my team, we each have this T-shirt. I tell them we should be prepared to wear it twice a year. By the way, the magical thing about it, if you wear it, nobody fires you, you know? So that's the best thing about this T-shirt. So you should screw up, immediately go to your desk, put the T-shirt. Who's going to fire somebody walking around the halls of a big corporate with "Fire me, please"? I mean, that's not going to happen, right? So this is actually the biggest shield we have from getting fired. And we love this. And I really believe in this. I mean, not for the purpose of getting fired. I'm not encouraging anybody to be fired, really. But it's actually to bring the point of we need to push the boundaries. That's what we are paid in innovation. In other functions, you are not. But in innovation as an entrepreneur, you definitely are. And actually, you know, many people say it, and it's super true. Don't ask for permission and everything. I mean, the answer is going to be no on everything you're going to ask almost. Just go and do it. Worst case, say sorry later. I mean, that's a much better approach. Again, as long as you have good common sense and it's for the benefit of the company, of course. The next thing is about kind of seeking external inspiration and being an inspiration in your own company. This is one that I like. I know it might sound like a cliche. We all talk about it, but it's an important one. And what I mean, I work in innovation as an entrepreneur in a big company. My role is constantly to get inspired and actually to inspire back in the company. So I personally, this is just the way I do things, I dedicate 1 day a month that I'm not working, okay? So 1 day a month, I do something that is related to work, but I come to a conference like this, I go to look at stores. Every time I travel for work, I travel a lot. I always stay an extra day. We do market visits, but I want to always see the high-end stores and the low-end stores because that's where the cool stuff happens. I read a lot of magazines, and I'm interested in things that are not happening in my industry today, but they're going to influence the industry, such as blockchain, artificial intelligence, they're not really happening exactly in the food industry. They're going to start impacting 3D printing. I need to understand, I don't need to be an expert, but they're going to probably have impact on our industry. Now, I go to a lot of conferences. I don't go just for simple, pure food conferences. I go for things that can inspire me. I just was 2 weeks ago in 2 conferences, one after the other in London. It's the only food conference I go, which is called Future Food Tech, which talks about food technologies. And I'll tell you now the great idea I got up there. And then I went to a packaging conference in Chicago, and now I'm here. In this Future Food Tech, I actually found one of the best things is now in my head. These grasshoppers, okay, and crickets. I am obsessed now with grasshoppers. Why? I went to the Future Food Tech. There was a little company of 2 guys from Dallas in the US. There's this whole thing about now alternative proteins and insects proteins. Anyway, these guys, I've known about this for a long time. They gave me to taste the first snack that I ever tasted made from basically cricket protein and grasshopper protein. I was sure it's going to be disgusting. The thing tasted good. Okay? And I told the guys, you know what? Let's imagine now that I come back to Mondelez and I try to push our Oreo team to launch the first cookie globally. It's going to be a one-off, limited edition of Oreo with cricket, made out of cricket powder. Now, you guys say that's disgusting. It's a bad idea. Could be it's a bad idea. I can guarantee you the amount of PR we're going to get. I know, where's the guy from Starbucks? He's not here. We are going to beat the Starbucks, what was that, unicorn frappuccino we had? They had this. Basically, Oreo with crickets? Come on, guys. Every newspaper in the world is going to talk about it. Everybody's going to try it. Either going to love it or hate it. That's great marketing. Now, that came from that conference. I never thought about it. I don't know if we're going to do it. I'll raise it, and probably people are going to think I'm stupid in the company, but I'll still raise it, and I asked them already to make me a mock-up, and let's see how that tastes. But that's the kind of stuff that happens from going outside of your day-to-day. I would never, ever thought about it otherwise. Speed, impatience, and early wins are your best friends in innovation and entrepreneurship. They are your best friends. You're going to have always skeptics. You're going to have always people in the organization saying, what are these guys in innovation doing? What did they launch lately? Oh, that failed, that failed. Always happens. First of all, you need to have early wins. That's the most important thing you need. You need to get something out there as fast as possible to create some internal PR and to get some internal credibility that you don't get fired so quickly and your team gets shut down. You need to do this fast. When our team was set up in 2011, in 2012, we launched something in the UK called Cadbury Dairy Milk Bubbly. For those of the Brits that lived, I don't know if you guys knew it. Bubbly was an aerated chocolate. Aerated was not new. The new thing about Bubbly was that the mold was like bubbles. Consumers loved it. We basically, within 12 months, launched it in 15 countries. Within 2 years, it was a $200 million business for us. That gave our team 3 years of quietness. Every meeting we would go, somebody was like, what are these guys in the global innovation thing? We're like, bubbly, 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 bubbly. We're talking 3 years about bubbly. In the meantime, we're working on the other stuff. If we would have not had bubbly, our team would have not existed anymore. You need to have an early win. You need to be impatient. Big companies are slow, and they're going to slow you down. You need to be impatient. I'm a very friendly guy. I'm super impatient at work. I don't have patience when I go to meetings and people tell me it's going to take 2 years. I like, why? Okay, so we have a process that's called stage gate, super boring process, exists for years. All the big companies have it. It's the biggest slower of innovation in the world. Okay, so 90% of what we do should be stage gate. 10% of the big breakthrough stuff, I want it outside of stage gate. I want a bypass of stage gate. I want a process that I can skip some market research. Sorry for the market research guys, not to do all the validation of 20 bases and every senior stakeholder wants another piece of research, and we can have a single decision maker and move fast. Sometimes we're able to do that, and impatience and speed are really, really important for you. And the last one is find where you're most creative in your day-to-day, repeat that same action on a daily perspective, and record these outputs. Now, I've always known that I have some times that I'm creative and I kind of get my best ideas. I get my best ideas when I fly, when I have a shower, and I discovered in the last 7 years when I walk. So we had a president of the global chocolate team of innovation. It was an Indian, came from India, and every time we were in Zurich, we went to lunch, and after that he said, you know, Horski, young man, come with me, let's have a walk. Like, why would I have a walk now in the middle of the day for 45 minutes? And after a while, I discovered he wants to talk about business. So I said, OK, I'll start preparing a PowerPoint. I'll start talking. He said, no, Horski, we're talking now. OK? Now, that was a routine. And then after a while, I told him, Bart, why are we doing these walks? He said, young man, I was not so young, but young man, I was younger than him. These are the best times for me to think, and we need to think together. And what he taught me is two things in these walks. One is actually, first of all, it's been scientifically proven that walks actually are some of the most, they're meditation, they relax you, but actually they're fantastic thinking times. A lot of people, obviously such as Steve Jobs, is a picture with his dog walking. He's still always used to make sure he walks his dog. Steve Jobs, and they say that Howard Schultz and Jack Dorsey all do walks. A lot of famous people do walks. But the second thing is actually the element of breaking through the day, having this time to think, and then actually jotting down what came out of it. And I always have my little moleskin notebook. I take it everywhere. I constantly jot down stuff, especially on flights. I then later on conferences, I look at them, and I get some good ideas out of that. So this is an important thing. The other thing that is interesting about these walks, and this has also been proven, which is very interesting, and going back to the 18 point, is it's been proven that there is actually quite a good book, I think it's called Creative Pairs or something, talking about that the best innovation and ideas and the bouncing off comes from pairs from two different people. And there's a lot of people obviously in the music, such as John Lennon and Paul McCartney, or if you look at Ben and Jerry's in ice cream, or even in the academia of the world, I don't know how much you guys know, but basically Daniel Kahneman that won kind of the Nobel Peace Prize from economics, and one of the founders of kind of behavioral economics and psychology. Actually, he had a partner that just died earlier than him called Amos Tversky, and they used to do everything together. All their walks, all their thoughts came together from walks. So actually, there's quite a lot of power in that. And I think in the day-to-day, in the corporate time, we never have time to do these things. So these were kind of my 7 points that we repeated today, and we talked about how to be a rock star entrepreneur. They work for me. I use them on a daily basis. My team used some of them. I would encourage any of you, if you want to be an entrepreneur, feel free to use them. And I put my email also at the end of the deck, so you can email me. And we have, I think, time for a few questions if people have any.
Thank you, Gil.
Good luck. Thank you. Thank you.